Hi everyone, it's Daphne from Scrap and Create, and we are on to another page of our Christmas time mini album. And we've done this page before. It's pretty straightforward. So we're going to have two flaps on each side and a pocket. So we've got a total of 4 flaps. And I'm going to give you those measurements, and those are our tiny little pockets. So this is 4.5, this is 5 by 8. That's the large flap, 5 by 8, 2 of them. You're going to score a 1/2 inch on the 5-inch side for both of these. And then the smaller flap is 4.5 by 8, 4.5 by 8. And you're going to have one for each side. So you'll need 2 of the 5 by 8s and 2 of the 4.5 by 8. And then I went over this in the first one, but I'll show you again. I don't like to stack my hinges like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two, I'm going to turn the larger flap over, and then I'm going to use this flange and actually attach it to this flap like so. And then this hinge will attach to the pocket page. Okay, so I'll show you that one more time. So if they're both going the same direction, you're going to turn over the large flap, and then it's going to get inserted just like this onto the flap just below it, just like so, okay? In fact, I think I'm going to install it this way, if I can hold it still. So the idea is you want to push it up against this flap and then lay it in so that it'll close. So let's go ahead and get a little bit of the tape off. And this is what I did on the other one. You're going to open this up, and then you're going to apply this hinge to this part of the flap. And you want to be on the, what I'm going to call the inside of that score line. Do not put it on the score line, put it on the other side of the score line. If you attach it to the score line, the flaps won't want to lay flat. Okay, now I'm going to hold it into place and take my tape off. And that's that. So that's one, and that's how it's going to look. Oops, I think, yeah, that tape had 2 pieces on it. There we go. Now it's all in. Okay, so there's our top. There's our larger flap attached to the smaller flap, and then this hinge will get attached to the pocket page. Now I like to do this outside of the pocket page because I can see right here I've got a little bit of a flange, and I'm going to go trim that off. And if it was on the pocket page, I mean, you could still trim it, but it would be much more difficult. Okay, now we're going to do that one more time. So here's our 2 pieces. We're going to take the large flap and flip it over, and it's going to get applied like so. Okay, let's take a look. And this one turned out a little bit better. It doesn't look like I need to trim it. They look good. 2 of these. And again, the top flap is 4.5 by 8. The larger flap is 5 by 8. Now each one of these is going to have a pocket, and it's going to get adhered to the larger flap. Like so. And then this is going to close on top of it. And then the whole thing is going to go on top of the pocket page. So I think I'll just go ahead and install these pockets outside the pocket page. I think it might be easier. Then we'll install the whole thing on that pocket page, and then we'll locate our magnets. And this is just going to be flush with the bottom. Well, maybe. Has to let go of me. There we go. 1, 2, One in, one to go, and it's right here. Okay, so there's our two flaps are fully constructed. Now I'm pulling in my 10 by 8 pocket page. Make sure your pocket openings are to the left and right, and these are going to get it installed like so. Now the first time I did this, I added them right to the edge of the page, and that's not what I intended to do. My design called to have these 1/4 inch strips put on either side, and then the flaps are going to be inset from the edges 1/4 inch. So I had to back up and start over. Thank goodness for undo. Okay. I forgot to dry fit these. That's bad, bad, bad. Bad habit to start. Getting away from that. Now, these are a little fussy, and the reason is because when they get that thin, it's very easy for the paper to wave when you're installing it and still go in flat to the touch, but actually have like a little arch in it. So just be careful. It takes a little effort, but I think it's worth. I think the look is pretty, so I think it's worth it. Okay, there we go. Now we are going to use those sort of as a guide to install these flaps, because they're not going to go all the way to the edge. They're going to be insert by about 1/4 inch. And I'm lining up my pocket page on my grid so that I can see where my 1/4 inch mark is, so that when I lay this in, it's right around 1/4 inch. That's not supposed to come up like that. There we go. There it is. We did it. Okay, now let's do the other side. And then let's get the glue cap on. And then as soon as we've got both in, then the next task is to locate our magnets, which is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. I'm going to turn it sideways so I can get a better look, edge, top to bottom. And I'm just lining it back up on the grid. There we go. So I'm not sure if you can see what I'm doing. Yeah. So this corner right here, I'm wanting to come in 1/4 inch, which is that first white line, and that's why I was using my grid. So, you know, you can use a pencil mark. There's lots of different ways to do it. I like to use my grid when possible. It works for me. Okay, now we're gonna get magnets in, okay? Now, I mentioned this in the first one. I'm not sure, I haven't finished picking out all my designer papers, and I don't know if I'm gonna do any color blocking. So which I might do on this side. So what I want to do is make sure that I steer clear from the center line of the layout, which is right here. Because if I do color blocking, it's probably going to be based on the center line. So I want to make sure my magnet is well below the center line so that I can easily mask it with my designer paper. So I'm going to place this one right here. And we need to go toward the top of the pocket to make sure that when we close this, it's fully concealed. And it is. Okay. All right, so these two are in place. We're going to do the same thing on this side. I already have magnet there. And again, we're going toward the top of the pocket. Okay, so those two are in. So the next thing is we're going to place some magnets here. Now, what I did on the other one, and I just didn't think it through, and I actually may go back and change it because I haven't put my designer paper on yet, is I located the magnet here and here and then did this, but then what happened is you wind up with 4 magnets stacked on top of each other, which is too much. So I'm going to place these magnets up here and then have them attract here, and that way there's not so many layers of magnets. And so I am going to go back on my previous page and relocate those magnets. That was just not thinking things through very clearly. So a lot of magnets, and I mentioned in the previous one, the reason I'm not trying to make this work with 3 magnets is this is going to be filled with inserts, and once I get inserts in here, then you have more layers for this magnet to pass through before it can reach the back side of this pocket page. So I'm concerned that if you overfill your pocket or fill it with 2 or 3 items that have photo mats on it, you won't have enough magnet attraction to grab on this page. So that's my thought process there. So if you decided not to install this pocket, then I would say by all means you really only need 3 magnets. It's only that because there is a pocket and the opportunity to add more layers of paper, it's just not a good idea. Okay. That's not the right way. There we go. It wasn't grabbing. Okay, there we go. So now we have 2 magnets down here and 2 magnets up here instead of 4 stacked on top of each other. And I think that's going to work out beautifully. There we go. I think I needed to slightly adjust it. Okay, everything's good. All right, I'm going to take a break, go trim out all my paper and get the edges inked, and then we will decorate this page. Hey guys, it's Daphne from Scrap and Create. We're going to continue working on Christmas Time, Graphic 45's latest release, and I've got my papers laid out. We've already built this page once, and so you've seen it before, but we're going to go ahead and start decorating it now. Okay, so I've got my glue, and I've got, I think, most of my panels all ready to go. So on the inside, this is what it's going to look like. like so. And then we've got these black pieces that are going to go here. We've got this for the pocket inserts. So I'm actually going to start by setting aside my papers. I like to lay them out in advance because sometimes if I don't do that before I get online, then I'm going back and forth trying to remember what my plan was. Okay, so the top paper is this. This piece. Oh, I gotta think about it. I think it might be from the 8x8, but I'm gonna pull my paper out just to see, and I'll tell you which size I used, if I can find it. This is the Christmas tree. This is the 12x12. Okay, so I just trimmed this from the 12x12 collection pack. Okay, I'm gonna dry fit this. I'm gonna get a contrast sheet so I can see both edges here to get this laid in. All right, that looks good. I've already inked my edges. I'm using my powder puff in mahogany. Okay, now we're gonna flip and do the other side. Let's dry fit it real quick. Actually, looks like I need to trim that down just a tiny bit. So let's try it one more time. Yeah, I need to take off the sliver. Okay, that looks good. And here's my powder puff. I'll re-ink the edge I just trimmed. All right, it is unbelievably warm here in San Diego today. I think I live about 10 miles from the beach, so we do get some of the breeze off the ocean, but today it's supposed to be like 105. That's really warm for my area in San Diego, so I'm sure you can hear my air conditioner running. It's a little hard out in the background, but I can't do much about that, otherwise it'd be too hot to even sit in my room. So, and this, as much as I love my studio lighting, it's hot. It generates a lot of heat, so I have to take a break about every hour just so I can turn the light off and cool my room back down. Okay, there we go. Isn't that pretty? I think the trees are really pretty. This is a kind of an unusual collection. The steampunk elements in it are kind of interesting. I like it. I like it. Okay, so that's in. So the next thing I want to do is let's go ahead and get these pieces laid over the pockets. Like so. Let me get my pick tool. Here it is. So I mentioned it in my one of my other videos, but I just want to remind you that you guys need to stock up on your art glitter glue before Art Glitter stops shipping it for the year. And I think they stopped shipping it in October, but the next time I sit down here, I'll make sure that I mention to you when that is. So we don't have all the sizes, but we do have some. And if you go onto our site and look under staples, you'll find our art glitter glue and see what sizes we have. I'm actually using a 4-ounce bottle right now. Oftentimes I use a 2-ounce and have a 8-ounce bottle and just refill it. You know what? I'm not happy with that. It's coming up. I think I need it. It's too... It's too narrow. I think I need to trim these down just a bit. I didn't notice it until I laid it down. That's one of the reasons why I like to use, this one's okay, why I like to use a contrast sheet, because then I can see if my border's right. Okay, yeah, this one seems to be right. That one was just a little bit too wide. So I'm gonna let that glue dry and then I'll trim it down and we'll put it on this side. There we go. And while I'm waiting for that to dry so that I can trim it, let's go ahead and add this piece, which is going to be the pocket insert. I'm gonna make sure I've inked it, and I have. And I left the leading edge without glue on it, so it's easy to tuck into the pocket. And I can back it out if I need to without leaving a trail of glue. So the other option, and people mention this on YouTube in the comments, is you can actually put the whole piece underneath the pocket, not inside the pocket. I like to do it this way. One, because I think it looks really clean, but the other reason is because this is actually all the way to the edge, it's covering up that inside flange of the pocket. So when I go to put something in, it's never gonna get stuck right there. It's gonna slide right in, all the way top and bottom. So that's my logic. But if that's too tedious for you, you can lay down your piece, then add your pocket. And what I mean is, I'm not sure you can see it, but right there is a flange on the pocket, and if you don't cover it up, sometimes when you go to put stuff in your pocket, you get hung up on it. So that is the logic that I used for that. I just want to double check and make sure I was right side up. I panicked there for a second. I thought I had turned my page over. I did that backwards, didn't I? This was the edge that wasn't supposed to have glue on it, but I think I'll be okay. There we go. Let's go ahead and press that down. We got a little bit of glue there. Okay, let's take a look at this and see what I need to do. Okay. I think that's going to be better. Let's take a look. Yep, perfect, perfect. Okay, we're moving right along. Okay, looks good. Okay, so on these two B-side flaps here, I'm going to do some color blocking, and it's pretty straightforward. We're going to have black side down and pattern side up, like so. And then I'm probably gonna put something, a band across the, or a little piece of sticker or something that's gonna go on either side. So as usual, what we wanna do is we wanna start by laying down the smaller of the two pieces, because it's much easier to trim down the larger piece to fit. And I already had these trimmed and inked, so they're ready to go in. Okay, lovely, lovely. Now we're gonna add this, and I'm gonna lay it in and mark it where I need to trim it. And then I need to ink the edge I just trimmed. Actually, it looks like I need to ink the top too. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think I got this one inked. Double check, looks great. And we're going to repeat the process on the left-hand side. There we go. It's looking good. Oop, gonna get some ink on it. You can see I've got my chipboard laid out here because I want to consider that as I'm building my book, where I think I might be putting some of those chipboard pieces. Okay, looks great. Let's get some ink on it and get it down. I think this looks pretty. It's very similar to the same page format. I used a different color scheme, but I think I used, red on the other one. I'm using black here. Anyways, I think it looks nice. And I do like to create symmetry in my books. Some people like every single page to be unique, and I like that too, but I would have to say this is kind of my design signature, where I might repeat the same or similar pattern layouts just with a different color. So the other one has the same pattern but a different color. So and I think every designer, and when you look around at mini albums, you can see it. Every designer has kind of a signature that's sort of unique to them. And a lot of times, even if I don't know who it is, if I see it, I can tell, you know, who the designer is. Okay, look at that. It's looking lovely, isn't it? Okay, so we've got the A, the B, and then we've got the A on this side. Now we need to get the B. And here is what I've decided. This is from the 8x8 collection pack. I'm going to put that there. These are strips. Every time you get patterns and solids, you always get one 12x12 cream cardstock sheet. These are trimmed off from that. And basically this is 8 inches wide and it needs to be a little wider than that. So I've trimmed out these. Let me make sure I've got the two, they're both the same. Oh, one's wider than the other. I think they need to be 3/4 of an inch wide. And I think I've got, trimmed out a couple and I think I've got them mixed up. Anyways, the plan is to put cream bands on either side and then center this. Since it's 8 inches, it's not quite wide enough. And then these came from the 12 by 12 collection pack. And I'm just trimming them down. They're gonna go like so. So it's going to look like so. So right now I need to figure out which strip is right. But let's go ahead and, before we go too much further with these strips, let's go ahead and lay down the 2 panels that are pretty straightforward right here. I'm gonna flip it open. I just wanna make sure I hadn't changed the orientation of the page by turning it upside down. I haven't. And this looks, it's inked and trimmed. And again, this is from the 12 by 12 collection pack. And actually I split this image in half, and that's why I was stacking it, was to see which way it went. So it goes like this. So I'm gonna split it this way. Looks good. Again, this is from the 12 by 12 collection pack. I need to get a damp cloth, clean up my mess here. There we go. Okay, there we go. Now let's see. I'm going to measure this and see. So I'm just pushing it all the way to the edge. I'm going to measure the gap here, and then I'm going to split whatever that is in half and make sure my 2 bands will work right there. Now I'm using the cream, although I had considered red, but you could also use green here, but I think I am going to go with the cream. It's just very bright, and I kind of like it. So I'm trying to see if I've got couple pieces that are trimmed out correctly. If not, I might have to stop and create a strip. Oops. Sorry about that. That looks about right. I need to narrow this strip, so I'm going to trim it down just a little. I'm going to try. This is going to be tough because this is hard to trim in a... When it gets this small, it's hard for me to hold it straight. Let's see how I did. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to start by laying down the 2 outside brackets, and then I'm going to center the red, and if it's too tight, then it's easily trim a sliver off the red side. So, and I think I'm going to need to, because I know I need a gap, more of a gap here, so that this will close without buckling. So let's see. I think I've got the right height. There we go. Looks good. I was just trying to get a visual to make sure that I'm getting away from this flap hinge right here, because if it is too close, it's going to want to pull this strip up and buckle it. Okay, one in. I was trying to make sure I had trimmed the height, and I had. I want to welcome all our new subscribers. We are so grateful you guys are here. Our numbers are growing, and that's great. And that means that people are taking time to share these videos and hit that like or add a comment. That really goes a long way in helping surface our videos to like-minded crafters. The YouTube algorithm really is looking for those likes and shares. So when you guys do that, that really helps us a lot. Okay, and I am going to trim just a bit off, because I like this black. It doesn't have to be that way. If I wanted, I could lay it down just like this, and there wouldn't be a black seam, but I like the black seam. I think it makes it interesting, but it is a preference. I think that's gonna do it. Okay, so I'm going to point something out here. If you look on this side, you can see, and across the bottom, that I've got this very even border. But then when you look over here, I've got a little bit of a border here and not here. That can happen for a lot of reasons, but what probably happened is I didn't get this white strip in straight, and it needed to move over a little bit. And I can't fix that, but I can make it appear as this is more straight just by trimming this at a slight angle, taking a little piece off the edge, and then not taking anything off this edge. And I'm going to do that in my trimmer, and I'll show you the results. So it won't be perfectly square, but it will appear to be square. I'm going to clean that up a little bit. Okay, so all I did was take a little off that corner and come across toward the edge, toward the center. I'm going to clean up this edge a little, and it's going to look beautiful. And that's how you get what looks like perfectly square pages. Even if something initially goes in crooked, you can recover. See, that looks pretty darn good, doesn't it? Okay, I'm gonna get some glue on this, and we're gonna put it down. This is from the 8x8 collection. It's just a flip side, right, of this one. So 12 by 12 on the B side of the flaps, and then this is the 8x8 is going to go on the body of the pocket page. And you could flip it. If you can't quite flip it because these panels are wider than 4 inches, so you can't take an 8x8 and split it and cover these panels. That's why I put it in this way. You could if you use the strips on the other side. meaning put the strip on the panel. So you could flip it if you wanted. Pretty good, huh? Okay, so that's just a little trick, and I use it all the time when I'm color blocking, because especially if you're using border strips, it's very easy to get these in crooked. But that looks lovely. Okay, so there is 12 by 12 collection pack, patterns and solids, patterns and solids, patterns and solids, and then 12 by 12 collection pack, 8 by 8 collection pack. So that is the end of this. I'm probably going to do some further embellishing on the top. I don't know what yet, but we'll call this pretty much finished. The body of this is finished. I may add some elements to the top, but I'll come back and do that in a separate video. Okay, thanks everybody for tuning in. This is Daphne from Scrap and Create. Again, thank you so much for joining us here on our YouTube channel and taking time to comment and like our videos. It really does help us a lot. And if you haven't had a chance, go on over to Scrap and Create, www.scrapandcreate.com. Take a look at our shop. If you're in the United States or the continental United States and its territories, we will ship to you. And this is Christmas time from Graphic 45. Be back soon.